Hello and welcome to another edition of Fact or Faux. So, we're going to be covering March business reminders. So, if you're a business owner, this is what we need to talk about for the month of March. All right, first one that's up. It's fine to swipe my business card for personal transactions as long as I pay them back later. What do you think about that statement? Fact, faux? It's faux. So, there should be no personal charges on your business cards and vice versa. There should be no business income into your personal bank accounts. This is why we set up these separate accounts. You want to have a separation of church and state, and you never want to pierce the corporate veil. If you don't know what that is, please check ChatGPT, ask what is piercing the corporate veil. The whole purpose of your LLC is to create some limited liability protection, and you don't want to do anything to jeopardize that. Owner's draws must be coded correctly. So if it is a personal transaction, that really is an owner's draw. It is not a business expense, and it should not be coded as such. Clean separation now prevents audit exposure later, and clean books equals clean decisions. All right, next up. So my bookkeeping software automatically reconciles everything for me. What do you think about that? It's faux. So your software doesn't automatically do a bank reconciliation for you. Bank statements are not automatically shared with our team unless you give us view only access to your bank accounts so that we can retrieve your bank statements for you. There's no way for us to see a copy of your bank statement just because you connected your bank account to your accounting software using Plaid. So I really do want to make that distinction. The importance of a bank reconciliation is that it helps ensure the accuracy and completeness of the transactions that are being brought over from your bank into your accounting software. So there is a data transfer occurring there, and we want to make sure that all of the data from your bank made it into the software. The only way we can do that is to do a reconciliation, which essentially helps us assess the completeness of the data that flowed from your bank into your accounting software. So it's really important to make sure that you're doing a reconciliation at least quarterly. If you don't know how to do a bank reconciliation, that's okay. You can always schedule a consultation with me, and I'm happy to walk you through how to perform a bank reconciliation. Or you can also provide us with view only access to your bank account so that way we're able to pull the statement and do the reconciliation on your behalf. But we need to ensure that that's happening at least quarterly. Why? Because you don't want to get to the end of the year, perform a bank reconciliation, and then figure out that there was an issue in one of the 12 months out of the year, or even hopefully, this is not the case from a prior year, because then you'll have to go month by month and reconcile each one individually to determine which month had a transaction or 10 that didn't make it into the software. So if you notice that your bank feed had to be reconnected, or there was a gap in or a period of time where the data wasn't flowing in and you had to go back in, update, connect Plaid again, get the data to come back in. When that happens, there's the potential that a transaction could be missed, or the during that gap period, information didn't flow in. So it's important to make sure you're reconciling, at least quarterly or regularly, so that way you don't end up spending hours trying to figure out or sift through bank statements to determine which one of these statements had a transaction that didn't make it into the software. So that's the purpose of the bank reconciliation, is to ensure that the data is complete, it's accurate, and we can rely on the reports that are being generated through your accounting software. All right. Next, a tax extension gives me more time to pay. What do you think about that one? It's faux. So an extension is more time to file. Your payment is still due on the original due date. If it was due on April 15th or March 15th, it's still due on that day. You just have 6 additional months to file your tax return. What I recommend is if you file an extension, make a payment. With that extension, hopefully by the time you file, you don't owe more than $1,000 because then the IRS may impose underpayment penalties if it's over $1,000. But our goal is to try and do our best to estimate what the final bill will be, but give you more time to collect your records and prepare a more accurate tax return or file the accurate tax return, I should say, with the additional time that you have. So, again, the 6 months is just for you to collect everything you need, maybe finalize your bookkeeping, pull some receipts, or find something that's missing, and essentially put the return together and file it. So if you need an extension, you can go to my website. There's a link at the top that will take you to our tax portal. And from our tax portal, you can select the option and check out to request an extension. You'll be prompted to provide the information we need in order to file the extension on your behalf, but you can do that all from our website. And finally, I can figure out my estimated taxes later in the year. All right, there's a theme going on here. This is also faux. Yes. Could you figure it out later? Sure, you could, but that doesn't mean you should. Estimated taxes and PTET require planning. So, for example, PTET, that's a special election that pass through entities can make. It may be beneficial to your business, but the deadline to make that election is March 15th of each year. So, if you miss that March 15th deadline, you can't retroactively elect to have PTET in place for your entity for the full year. So it's one of those things where if you are proactive, you can plan to have this in place. But if you figure out what PTET is in April, then you'll have to wait until the next year to try and make that election. So bookkeeping helps you keep your records clean, but strategy ultimately will determine what you owe tax wise. So it really does take some planning and some conversations up front. So that's why I'm just recommending that you figure out what your estimated taxes will be. And if you need to make any special elections in the first quarter of the year or at a minimum by the end of February. So that's the goal. All right. So that's everything that I have for you today. Thank you for joining and participating in another episode of Factor Faux. So I hope this information and these explanations were helpful for you. If you need a one on one consultation or a meeting, please feel free to scan this QR code or go to our website and you can book an appointment now.